Yeah, I was drafted. I left here November the 14th, 1941. 40, yeah, 19, yeah, November 14th, 19, yeah, 41.
It's back in the 40s.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we went to Fort Bragg. We left Fort Bragg. We took our basic training at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. And it was cold out there, great dynamo weed. Thanksgiving dinner on the train. It was nice and warm in there and everything. And that Friday morning, that's when we got off on the train. When I got to the door, getting off on the train out there at Camp Atterbury, Indiana, that cold wind hit me, I backed up. Sergeant George walking the mess sergeant, he hollered, "Come over that train, Charles, soldier. Who do you think you is?" I drawed my fist back there, and when that cold wind hit me, I started hitting with my fist. Me and him laughed about that a long time. Yes, sir. We stayed out there in the soldier. That's where we took our basic training out there at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. And everything. And you talking about cold. It was so cold out there you could spit on the ground, it would roll up in a ball of ice. And that's true. And after we were there about 3 or 4 weeks, they issued us the .22 caliber rifle. We went out on the range, it was about 6 inches of snow on the ground then. And it was so cold, the major come out there and told the captain and the lieutenant that it was too cold out there for him, and he knew it was too cold for us. And while we were messing around out there, we caught a bunch of rabbits. Our soldiers did. Caught a bunch of rabbits out there in that snow and everything. We brought them rabbits in. The E Company and the F Company were together. We brought them rabbits into the camp and we skinned them and cooked them and eat them. And the captain and the majors all come and eat breakfast with us that morning in the mess hall. I never will forget that. Oh, sir. Then after we took our basic training there, we left there then and went to Fort Huachuca, Arizona. That's where we took our combat training at. Out there in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. And everything. You talking about hot. It'd be a 96 in the shade out there in the daytime. And when night comes, you had to sleep under a blanket. That's just how cool it would get at night. And everything. I rode home and told my mom and dad about it. And everything. And you talk about rattlesnakes, good gracious life. We go out on the field training that way. That's the biggest thing we had to watch were rattlesnakes and coyotes. That's a first cousin to a dog and everything. They wouldn't bark as long as 3 or 4 of you were together. But if you was by yourself, you look out. Yes, sir. And rattlesnakes out there like I don't know what. Ain't no joke. Yes, sir. I often think about it a whole lot of time now. I told the boy, my friend, I told him I would eat rattlesnake meat out there in Phoenix, Arizona with a fella. He run a rattlesnake farm. He killed that rattlesnake, had a stick about 10 or 12 foot long with a piece of wire on it, and he cut that rattlesnake's head off and hang him up and let that blood run out of it. And he'd take him and skin him. I had a rattlesnake belt I bought from him out there in Phoenix, Arizona. I never will forget it. And I wore it out. Yes, sir.
So you finished your basic training, and then where'd you go?
Well, after we were out in Arizona, that's where we took our combat training at, out there in Arizona. We went on a march, and we marched across the OK Corral out there where Jesse James and Geronimo fought at. They had rail fences out there. We crossed over them fences, walked across the OK Corral. We went and looked down in the Grand Canyon out there in Arizona. You talking about some pretty clear water, great day in the morning. It was pretty clear water. I never will forget that. You know, I rode home and told my mom and dad how pretty clear that water was out there in that
Out in the Grand Canyon area.
Grand Canyon, yes, out there at the Grand Canyon. We walked and looked down in that. Yes, sirree. But like I say, I told my mama and daddy, don't worry about me. I said, the Lord will be with me. He'll guide me and bring me back. And I told him, I said, I will have some stripes on my arm. And after the war was over there, where you take D-Day, we were looking down on a little town called Spezia, Italy. We rode that morning around 4 o'clock. Sun rose around 6 or 6:30. After 10 o'clock that morning, we didn't see the sun no more that day until the next morning, with so many planes in the air. D-Day. I never will forget that. Yes, sirree. But after the war was over, we were over there in Europe. It was nice. I declare it was. And we were stationed there in neighbors, Italy. We stationed there about a year, a little better. Then they transferred us up to Cavatina Air Base. And that's when I got on police force then up there doing guard around the air base up there at Cavatina.
But you were in the 92nd.
Yes, 92nd Infantry Division, 365th Regiment, F Company. Yes,
They were known as what?
Buffalo Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Buffalo Soldier. I was in the first platoon. I was squad leader of the first squad, F Company, 365th Infantry Regiment. And after Sergeant Walker, he was up in age and everything. Then they transferred me from the first platoon to the third platoon. And I trained them so they got them brought up to qualification and everything. I trained them and all. I often think about it now. When I was in the first platoon, Sergeant Post was on a 3-day pad. And we had a close order drill contest after that Saturday morning out there in Arizona. And the first platoon won the prize. The colonels and the majors, all of them, they had a stand. And I was out there drilling them soldiers, man. And them boys, they were soldier puppets too. It ain't no joke. I think about that a lot of times now. So we won, the first platoon won the close order drill contest. We got 3-day pass for the weekend.
Well, back to your time in Italy. I understand that you were there in some of that combat, and additionally you saw German soldiers.
Yes,
you saw the tanks and those things, those forces that were against you. And
yes,
tell me a little bit about some of those things that happened there.
Well, I got 4 battle stars. Matter of fact, we got 5 battle stars, but it was an American Japanese regiment with us. They were from California. We gave them the 5th battle star. After the war was over there in Europe, and we were waiting just out of Naples, Italy there. We were waiting for ships to take us to the Pacific, which the 371st and 371st Regiment, they had left, heading for the Pacific, and we were waiting on a ship. And this Japanese soldier, sergeant, he got up and made a talk and everything. And what he said, I wish I had a pad, I'd have wrote some of it down. What he said about us fighting that war over there in Europe.
What about the tanks that you saw, and what was your responsibility? Did you have anything to do with what took place when you saw those German tanks advancing on you?
Well, after about a week, every evening we'd have stand to the car, and man, they would give us fits with them tanks. Shooting shells after us. And just like I say, I picked up the flasher from the gun, and we had what you call walkie-talkie radios, and I called in to the field artillery, had them 240, 280 millimeter guns and everything. That, just like I say, that gun would hold a shell up on the ground from here to Greenwood, 20 miles. And I directed them on it. They shot 4 shells and blew that tank out and everything where it was at. And 2 days after that, we were just out of Viareggio, Italy there, and they sent a reconnaissance plane over. And that's when they told me on the radio phone that I had knocked that tank out and everything. And that's when I got another medal right there. Yes,
What about some of your friends? You lost some close friends.
yes, I lost some close friends. Just like I said, this soldier named Private Baby Nall. I never did see him no more. And before the war was over with, we were getting short of men. They pulled me back and a couple of more sergeants to train new recruits that we was getting in over there. And buddy, I trained them good too. And after we give them that 6 weeks training with a major and a colonel, a captain, they come up and they were explaining to them about that M1 rifle and everything. And the major had the trigger hider group out of that rifle, you know, explaining how it worked. And I told him, took him and showed him what if a piece of trash got into that rifle that it wouldn't shoot and everything. And he told me, the major told me, said, Sergeant Tapp, as long as I've been in the Army, you showed me something about that rifle I didn't know. And there was a captain standing there, and he said the same thing. Yes, sir. I was a rifle expert. And all the guys that I trained, they were crazy about me. And they ain't no joke. I think about it a lot of time now. Yes, sir.
What did you learn in the Army that you've used in your own life since that time?
Well, I learned a lot. You say before I got discharged from the Army, I got discharged from Fort Eustis, Virginia. Out there, and I acted first sergeant out there. They tried to make me a tech sergeant, but I gave it to another soldier. Yes, sir. And I beautified that camp out there at Fort Eustis, Virginia. The post commander offered me a job out there to take care of the camp. Because it was a nice place and everything. And when I got my before I got my discharge, I had to take an IQ test. And if I'd had a few more seconds to answer to that last 12th question, my IQ would have been over 100. My IQ here is 98 now. Yes, sir.
Well, Sergeant Tapp, I want you to know it's been a pleasure being here in your home today.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it.
And I appreciate the service that you gave to this country, because it's because of men like you that we're able to enjoy the freedom that we have. And it's because of men that are now in service, and many people who sacrifice their own way of life to assist in preserving our way of life,
Yes.
that I am deeply indebted to you and others.
Well, I'll say this. I'm a proud old 85-year-old Buffalo soldier now. I think about what I did for this country. Yes, sir.